Chapter 13, Lesson 7, Describe Distributions. Our learning objective is you will make a dot plot or histogram to describe the distribution of a data set collected to answer a statistical question. So our essential question here is, how can you describe the distribution of a data set collected to answer a statistical question? Okay, so if we look, so this activity says to ask at least 20 students in your school how many pets they have. Record your results in a frequency table like the one shown. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to make up some numbers to work with, and then if your teacher wants you to, you guys can go through and collect your own data with 20 of the students in your class and use that to do your own. So for this lesson, you're going to do it with me, and then if your teacher wants you to, you're going to do it again with your information. But just write down what I have here. So I'm going to say that I have, let's have 5 students that have 0 pets. And then 7 students with 1. 5 students with 2. 1 student with 3 pets, and 2 students with 4 pets. If they have more than 4 pets, I'm just going to qualify them as the 4 pets. What statistical question could you use, or could you use your data to answer? So statistical question, remember, we have to talk about things that vary. So an example of one of the questions we could use is, what is the mean number of pets per people I surveyed? So that's just an example. Of pets for the people I surveyed. Oops. There's a lot of different statistical questions that you could use. That's just one of them. So then if we look over here, unlock the problem. You can graph your data set to see the center, spread, and overall shape of the data. Make a dot plot or a histogram of your data. Okay. So I already did that here, so you didn't have to watch me do that. But all I did was, if I have the number of pets for 0 through 4, those are my numbers down here. Okay. 0 through 4. Then I had to just go through and put the frequency. So according to my chart, oops, wrong thing. According to my chart here, I had 5 on 0. So 0, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 X's. Okay. On my number of pets, I should have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I have 5 on 2. So 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 X's above 2. 3, I should have 1. There's 1 above 3. And 4, there should be 2. 1, 2. So that is an example of a dot plot for that. Now, if we look at that, I chose a dot plot. I chose dot plot because there were too few values for me to make a histogram. Now, if I were to survey my actual class, like if I were to survey the 27 kids in here and take 20 of those answers, I'm probably going to have more than just 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Some people might have 10 pets. Some people might have 2. But with the information that I had, a dot plot made more sense since histograms were intervals. So it doesn't really make sense for me to have a bar that's 0 through 1, 2 through 3, and 4 through 5. That doesn't show the information as well as the dot plot. But if I had more varying data, then a histogram would have made more sense. And then let's look at, if we keep going, let's look at the next section here. Okay, so we have, oh, there we go. Think about the overall distribution of your data. Are there any clusters? Are there any clusters with my dot plot here? There's no gaps, so there's clusters from 0 to 4. So 0 to 4, there's clusters. Are there any gaps? No, there's no numbers on that line that have a space. There's no frequency above. Are there peaks in the data? If we look back here, are there peaks? 1 would be my peak. That's the highest point. So yes, and the peak is at 1. Is there symmetry? No, because there's no vertical line that I could draw on this that would have the same on both sides. So no. So are there peaks? Yes. At 1, there's a peak. And does the graph have symmetry? No, mine did not. Describe the overall distribution of the data, include information about clusters, gaps, peaks, and symmetry. So what you would do there is just talk about how there are clusters from zero to 4. The data peaks at 1. And there are no gaps or symmetry. Okay, for the example, it says find the mean, median, mode, interquartile range, and range of the data you collected. Step 1, find the mean, median, and mode. So we're going to find the mean, median, and mode. I've already got started over here for us. So I wrote the data right here. I wrote that in order from least to greatest. Okay. To find the mean, I need to add it all up. Well, I know that 5 plus 5 is 10, and I know that 1 plus 2 is 3, and 3 plus 7 is 10. 10 plus 10 equals 20. I also could have just looked and I said, record at least 20 students. Well, I used that 20 for my data. So 20 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 20 divided by 5 because I have 5 different sets of numbers there. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So my mean would be 4. My median, if I look through and find the middle number, my median would be 5. And the mode, 5 occurs twice and nothing else occurs twice, so my mode would be 5. So I would just write those answers in there. Then it says to draw a box plot of your data and use it to find the interquartile range and range. So a box plot, I have data that ranges from 1 to 7. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I didn't need that whole space. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Starting off with my whiskers, I look at my highest number, and that would be 7. And my lowest was 1. My median was 5. I know that. But I didn't figure out my range and interquartile range yet. Okay? And I need my interquartile ranges to know how to do my box. So I need to put those numbers that I found earlier in order from least to greatest, which was 1, 2, 5, 5, 7. Since my median was 5, this is going to be my upper and lower quartile. So 2 plus 1 is 3, divided by 2 is 1.5. That is my lower quartile. So 1.5. And then 5 plus 7 is 12. Divided by 2 is going to be 6. So that is my upper quartile. My box goes through my lower and upper quartile. And then my median is a vertical line. And then I need to connect my whiskers. That is how my box plot would look for this data. Now, I'm not done. I found the mean, found the median, found the mode, and I drew a box plot. But I need to find the range in the interquartile range. The range is just the highest number of the data set minus the lowest number. So I just take 7 minus 1, because 7 is my highest, so I look right here. 1 is my lowest. 7 minus 1 equals 6. So my range would be 6. Done with that. Interquartile range. I look at the interquartile box that I have. I take the highest value there, which is 6, minus the lowest value in my box, which is 1.5. Which is 4.5. So my interquartile range is 4 5/10, or 4 1/2, 4.5. Using this information, let's see, we have interquartile range of 4.5, range of 6. Range 6, interquartile. It's 4 1/2. Using this information and looking at my data up here, which we said was 1, 2, 5, 5, and 7, what do we think describes the best, like which best describes our data? Okay, so using this information, let's look at 4. 4 is greater than 1 and 2, but less than 5, 5, and 7. And probably not my best. The median, 5. 5 is equal to 2 of them, greater than 2 of them, and less than 1. That's a pretty good one. Mode only describes 2 out of the 5, so we're going to take that out. The range is 6. 6 is greater than 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 5 sets. Probably not. 4 1/2 falls about right here. It's greater than 2, less than 3. Not a bad choice, but I think that median is probably our best choice there. So which measure of center do you think best describes your data and why? For mine, like I just said, that would be the median. Okay, so then what's the next question? Does the interquartile range or range best describe your data? If we look at the range and the interquartile range, we decided that interquartile range would probably describe it better because it's closer to all of these values than the range. The range would be up here. The interquartile range would be here. The interquartile is more in the middle of that data than the range is. And then what is the answer to the statistical question you wrote on the previous page is the last question here. So the answer to that previous question is we wrote what is the mean number of pets for the people I surveyed, and we already calculated that, and that answer would be 4. Okay, this was kind of a harder lesson for you guys to follow along with me since I made up my own data and used it. So please be sure to ask your teacher if there's anything that you didn't understand and anything you need us to go over again. We would be more than happy to. Just a reminder what our objective was is that you will make a box plot or a histogram to describe the distribution of a data set collected to answer a statistical question.